they were hyping this in the Dark Knight Rises. All of this just makes my head spin, quite frankly. They are coming after our guns. You've noticed the last 3 weeks, I've just been Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment, because the analysis has been done by the Washington Times, by even Forbes. We've had our expert, Bob Dacey, probably one of the best out there as he researches it constantly, New American, Second Amendment writer. He writes for New American on that and on SPP. And, I mean, they plan to take our guns. And this may create copycats. That's the thing. That's mind control. The fact that movies can make people do this and the police know there may be copycats, that's actually not fear-mongering to have some police out or at least have people on the lookout, because you probably will have copycats of the staged event. It's called priming the pump. Now, if they try to keep them out there permanently, that was the excuse to take over. Just like they're saying TSA to be at movie theaters and shopping malls. That news is 6 years old. They wanted that. And now it's happening. Now they're at the shopping malls. 2 years ago, the new TSA PSAs show them at shopping malls and football games. Our TSA, the globalist TSA, is going to England to grope them. It's all happening. Or you can't go to a movie theater because villains will pop out. Oh, man, I tell you, this is just so sophisticated. This is so sophisticated. And I've witnessed it over and over again. Like you're at these events, you learn about them, and they announce a real terror attack in Belton, and then the next day say it wasn't real, and then nobody gets in trouble for that. I mean, I have witnessed them do this. Remember to support us also, our sponsors, Infowars.com, Prisonplanet.tv. 15-day free trials there. See the nightly news. I'm trying to build our organization. We're expending the capital we have, so we need more capital to come in. We need to be strong going into the face of this, having George Soros and White House groups with actual White House staff saying we need to be shut down, need to have our funding cut. They're coming after us, ladies and gentlemen. We are the tip of the spear. I more and more agree with Joseph Farah that they're just coming after us. So we're here for you. We got a good chance of beating them because we understand their game plan. We're going to go right at them. So prisonplanet.tv, got a 15-day free trial. We got the Pro Pure water filters, 10% off. Nobody's got that deal. Infowarshop.com. All the books, all the videos, they're there. Infowarshop.com. All right, we're into hour number 3. And I was just talking to CJ in there. I said, what's your concern here? And he goes, the moment I saw this staged, how it was the premiere, how it's going to just make them, basically sell more tickets, how we saw the pre-hype, and he said it's only a matter of hours till the firefighters get into his computers. And just like when Richard Poplawski killed those 3 cops, he was a white supremacist who was constantly attacking me everywhere. That calling for violence against me, we later discovered. And they had the Southern Poverty Law Center, ADL, local writer, within 1 hour of them getting his computer, come out and say he did it for Alex Jones. Turned out his computer had thousands, because I saw the court records, I made them all retract, thousands of websites he'd visited, including Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. I mean, my website's bigger than MSNBC and CNBC.com combined. I mean, gee, do you think somebody might have visited it? So every time, Nightline, every time anybody's here, they say, you're going to cause violence. And I'm like, really? Really? I need to be shut down because of that? I'm going to talk about it after the break. Let's just go to your calls right now. And absolutely, when they get into those computers, it is a very good chance that I'm going to be blamed for this. And I'm not looking forward to it. It's happened a whole bunch. They tried to blame me for the Gifford stuff until it came out he was a big Democrat who liked to dress up as a woman. I'm not saying he's bad. He liked to do that. I mean, the point is that, he's a guy who hated Republicans and dressed up as a woman. I'm not responsible for that, okay? Let's go ahead and talk to Robert in Colorado. Robert, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Alex. I'm a little bit groggy right now, if you can bear with me. I've been up all night. People have been calling me all night long. I used to be a former A6 driver 27 years ago. I knew Eric Harris's father, who was an F4 Phantom driver. The Columbine situation, I had guys that I knew, young guys, when they were on the SWAT team, and they were already stacked to go in 20 minutes after that shooting, and they were told to stand down. All right? And they weren't allowed to breach Columbine for 5 hours afterwards.
No, that came out in the news. I interviewed the editor of the Rocky Mountain News It was in the news that the police shot some of the kids, and that there were other shooters inside. I mean,
well, I don't know what police it was, but it wasn't SWAT, because I knew 2 guys who were on SWAT. They're my personal friends. They never even fired a shot that day. They were already stacked. They were stacked 10 deep to go in 20 minutes after that thing happened, and they were told to stand down and back off.
I guess so. More people could bleed to death that way, I guess. A higher death number for Clinton.
I don't know, but this kind of reminded me what went down last night. Like I said, I've been up for almost 22 hours, so I'm a little groggy. But like I said, I'm a former A6 driver. I know, trust me, your whole 9/11 scenario is correct. I was involved in the FAA for many years out in Denver. Yes, they're. I don't know. It's not. There's not really a deep underground base there. There's a terminal station that'll take you out to Cheyenne Mountain and out to Buckley. That's basically where they run. There's a lot of rail tracks under the ground. The whole airport's really a physical disaster when you get underneath it. I was involved at TSA and its inception. Massive criminal corruption from the beginning. There were guys that, one guy was the federal security director, who was a former lieutenant colonel. He was already sucking down one retirement check, and then he got another one for just being the FSD, federal security director, for 5 years, and he sucked down another. And he made $185,000 a year and sucked down 90% of that pension. So
well, I tell you what, stay there. Don't hang up. Robert, I want to come back and get your take on what happened last night, because you've already talked about Columbine, which CBS News reported there was 127 bombs they brought inside in front of the police that morning, and then the school's half empty, but there's nothing to worry about, nothing suspicious. Stay there. I want to come back and get your take, sir, on what happened last night, because you were saying you had similar concerns. We'll be right back with more calls. Okay, we're taking your phone calls, and then I'm going to talk about the fact that the Democratic Party and others that are collaborators with the globalists and the UN are openly saying they want to restrict our gun rights now and want the UN treaty signed to restrict our rights. To kill opposition, they said, don't worry, it doesn't take your rights. Don't run, we're your friends. Everything's fine. Hands up, though. Well, now they're just moving forward to want to ban our guns. So here you have it. It happened. But there are a lot of mainstream articles saying, hey, we have a very violent culture. We have a lot of violence in the movies, a lot of glorification of it, and that studies show that's what's really causing this. Yes, it's not the guns killing people. It's the fact that I would not want to be a police officer nowadays. You know, we see a lot of bad cops now. There's a lot of good ones as well. A lot of good ones, because I meet them and talk to them. But there are a lot of bad ones, because the system wants corrupt people and thugs in there. And they've got a bigger pool from this degenerating culture. It's not just here. All over the world, the test scores, the health, the work ethic, the families, it's all disintegrating. What's upstanding today is just average 50 years ago. I mean, people are lazy, they're stupid, they're not paying attention, and they're downright evil. And I'm not talking about everybody, but the percentage of slobs, the percentage of people that don't know how to do. I mean, look, compared to my dad, I don't know how to fix anything. Compared to his dad, he doesn't know how to fix a lot of stuff. I mean, it's just people are getting dependent, and we're getting specialized too, where we're only good at certain things. It's a very scary scenario. That's all I can say. And you know the TSA, they're saying TSA-type checkpoints now to be everywhere to stop mass shootings, which statistically, Kurt Nemo's got a great article up there at Infowars.com. Statistically, well, he's got the numbers. You've got a very much better chance of just rare forms of death than you do from mass shootings. I mean, shootings is way down the line. Most years, it's like number 10, 11, 12, 13. It varies year to year in the World Almanac. And guys, will you pull up causes of death, number one cause of, or like top causes of unnatural death? And just, I mean, I forget the exact search that'll pull it up, but just watch. Just like I know on average there's 5 great white deaths a year. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 7, but on average it's 5. Total shark attacks, it's about a dozen every year. Sometimes big Makos, elite people occasionally, or big tigers sometimes have a little snack. Tigers will actually eat you. Like a great white bites you and almost always lets go. A tiger or a mako will actually take you and have a snack. In fact, sometimes they like you rotten, so they'll take you and cram you under some mangroves. Wait till you get a little bit more tasty, kind of like a crocodile will do, and then come back later for the delicious snack. But there's some amazing videos on YouTube of guys hand-feeding giant tiger sharks, like 14 feet long. And they go there every day and bring tourists. It's in the Caribbean, I forget where. And they hand-feed these giant, and they're like dogs. They come over and wag their tails, get all excited. The guys are sitting there hand-feeding them. The point is that I'm digressing, and I guess there is no point. That mass shootings are incredibly rare. And when you have mass shootings that aren't staged, they get no attention. Like there's actually been mass shootings in Virginia and other areas of police. And boy, let me tell you, when somebody goes in a police station and shoots 10 cops and kills 4 or 5 of them, like they did in Fairfax County, Virginia, it didn't get any attention. Because that was real. And they don't want real, again, it's you know when it's staged because of the hype. You know by the propaganda and the way it's pushed. And that's the coup de grace or the cherry on top. That's the plastic cherry on top, is that is the response, the timing, the UN treaty, all of it. It's fake. It's classic. The MO is this guy was drugged. We know from other Manchurian candidates. Probably didn't even do the shooting. Has been probably tortured off and on for months. He's disappeared, hadn't talked to mommy. He's in this big neurological brain interface PhD program. That's classically where they get him. He disappears. I'm going to go to Robert here in just a minute. Talking to myself here. I realize I got to shut up. It's just so incredible. I mean, I'm trying to give you all the data points of why I know this is staged. I mean, it's just hundreds of them. And 50 most common causes of death. Yeah, but that's got natural ones. Cardiovascular disease, that's okay. Keep going. It's fine. Infectious disease, stroke, lower respiratory tract infection, respiratory disease, AIDS, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, tuberculosis, malaria, lung cancer, diabetes, suicide, oh yeah, especially if you're in the military, stomach cancer, and it just goes on. Keep going. We're going to find the guns. I think guns are the 10th, 11th, or 12th, depending on the year, it varies, of unnatural. See, these are medical things. The search is causes of unnatural death. And it's going to be automobile accidents, and then it's going to be hospitals with bad prescriptions, then it's going to be hospital infections. Look these up, folks. This is what I do all day, is study statistician numbers, because I want to know real reality. Okay, let's just, I'm going to shut up here. We got law in Colorado. That might be one of the We Are Change guys I know. But let's finish up with Robert. Robert, you're saying you're formerly in the military. You know a lot of the guys are on the SWAT team at Columbine. People just joined us in the last segment. You were talking about the fact that, yeah, the whole thing was really spooky. But continuing, what's your take on what happened there in Colorado last night at the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises?
Like I said, I've been up all night. I got a cousin named Al, too, and we were talking about this all night. And I'm almost 50, so I'm an old-timer. We used to take our boys to that theater a couple years ago when they were really young, still in high school. And there was a heavy police presence always at that theater. All right? Every premiere night through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and stuff, there was always a heavy police presence. So, you know, we were talking this morning about it, and I said, well, where were the cops at? You know, there were always at least 8 Aurora cops, and see...
Oh, yeah, this is one of those mega theaters. Whenever I go to one of those, any night of the week, there's at least 2 cops, but if you go on a premiere night, there might be 5 or 6, like you said.
Oh, there's always, not even that, because... You know, it's predominantly, let me put it this way, it's predominantly in a black neighborhood, and there's always shootings that go down up there, all right? And when I found this out, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, wait a minute, you know, this couldn't have possibly happened the way it said it did. And then now I come to find out the shooter, who's a white guy, who apparently lives in a predominantly black apartment complex very close to this, and is booby-trapped. Now, what are the odds of that? And he tells the police that it's booby-trapped. And then his mother comes out and says, well, I knew my son was going to do that. This makes no sense to me.